Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Dan, and this is my favorite thing to cook. So today, what we're going to be doing is one of my favorite dishes that we used to have growing up on Sunday mornings is just a basic bolognese marinara sauce. Now I'm going to make it a little bit different than how my mom used to make it. She didn't put all the veggies in there. I probably would have picked through with a fine tooth comb all the onions in there, but I've grown to like these a little bit more, and as I've gotten older, the veggies are also a lot cheaper than meat, so it's a nice way to also bulk it up a bit, and it also adds a lot more flavor too. So I got a pan heating up right now. I'm gonna add some ground beef to it, get that browning. I don't quite have my mom's old wooden spoon, but this guy will have to suffice. So let's just get right into it.
The first thing we're going to want to do is hit this pot with a good amount of oil. And yeah, I know there's a lot of fat in the beef already, but it will stick easily to the pan and not only easily burn, but also wreck your pan before we even get started. Besides, most of the fat and liquid from this beef is going to be strained out anyway. I also want to make sure this beef is broken down as much as possible because 1, it can still burn, and B, it's going to be more consistent with the veggies I'm about to cut up. But if you want a more rustic look, then by all means, do your thing. At this point, I really like to season the beef while it's still just cooking on its own away from the rest of the vegetables. Partially so it'll be tasty when I snack on it, but also because it really helps the meaty flavor pop. Next, we're going to clean the mirepoix and dice it up while the fat and the beef continues to render out. I like to start with the carrots because they're a bit hardier and take a smidge longer to cook. And also, if you're anything like me, the cuts end up being a little bigger than anticipated and we'll need the extra time. Alright, now that we got the carrots, let's strain the beef. Next, we dice the celery. Boom. Then we finish the trifecta off with onions. Quick tip on not crying when cutting onions, there is none. Get a sharp knife, work fast, minimize the time working with the onions. If you're caramelizing a grip, good luck and maybe get some goggles. I'm going to cook this for a little bit further before adding the garlic because it cooks faster and can easily burn. And now, a word from our sponsor. Do you hate cleaning garlic and onion paper? Well, try our dust buster to make quick work of that mess and the paper doesn't get everywhere. Now, back to our regularly scheduled program. Where were we? Oh yeah, garlic. Don't add it too soon or the sauce will definitely burn and ruin it. So, once this is sweated down a bit, it's time for the wine, and we've got some options. We can do a white or red. You can use a nice bottle or some cheap box wine. You can even be so bold as to not use any at all. It's a free world. You can even make Kraft mac and cheese, and I won't care as long as you hit that like button. We're going to put just enough wine to cover the veggies. Also, super important to make sure you're cooking nearly all the liquid out at this point. Aw, Khaleesi thought I put some food in her dish. Sorry, girl. Anyway, cook all the wine out at this point, or it's going to taste pretty funky. How funky? Well, you know when you're with friends and they offer you some bad wine so you chug it while they're not looking? No? Oh. Well, that's what this sauce will taste like if you don't cook all the wine out of it. And next we're going to add the beef back to the pot to pick up some of that wine flavor. Once, and only once the wine is cooked out, can you add the tomatoes and herbs. Now time for one of Dan's unpopular opinions no one ever asked to hear about. Some people swear by these San Marzano tomatoes. There's a lot of hype about them. They're only grown in a certain region. They've got special certification, and yeah. They're all the store had, so that's why I have them. And while they are good, they aren't going to make or break a sauce. In fact, I think most people that think they can tell the difference probably wouldn't be able to if you put them to a blind taste test. Actually, write that down. Write that down. Now, at the time I made this, I had some fresh thyme and oregano growing in my backyard. And while I love any opportunity to use my fresh herbs, I really don't think it's the right situation to use them right now. If you want to do it at this point, go for it, but make sure you save a little to add at the end, or the sauce will fall a little flat. Dry herbs actually work a lot better in this situation because this sauce is going to cook for a while, and most of the flavor of the fresh herbs cook out after about 20-30 minutes, hence adding some more fresh herbs at the end anyway. Now, why don't we cover this bad boy up? Turn the heat way down. Don't want that sauce to burn on us now, do we? Pour out the rest of that wine into a glass and take a load off. You deserved it. It's been a long day. You could cook this sauce all day if you want, although I usually start my pasta at about the 90-minute mark from here to give it at least 2 hours to cook, but then let the rest of the sauce go for a few more hours until I jar up the rest at the end of the night. You could technically start eating this at around 30 or 40 minutes if the sauce is going aggressively and you're watching it really good so it doesn't burn, but no less than that, otherwise it'll just be raw tomatoes and that's just pretty gross. Alright, well it's dark out, so that means this sauce has been going for at least 2 hours. We've got some garlic bread working. We've got our pasta going now. Don't break the pasta. No self-respectable Italian breaks their pasta, nor do they buy canned marinara or use cheap powdered Parmesan cheese, but clearly I'm breaking one of those rules, and I've definitely broken the other two on more than one occasion. But this video is about the sauce, and not my terrible chopstick skills. Yikes. Oh. So let's just fast forward through this embarrassing footage until we get to, of course, oh my god, it's still going. Oh my god, make it, oh, there it is. The money shot. Oh, yeah, I'm a terrible cinematographer, and you won't get to see it, but let's be real, it's not like you've never seen pasta before. Am I right? Now, I get why people buy canned sauce versus going through these motions. Like I said, I've done it before, and there's even a ton of ways you can take canned sauce and doll it up to make it way better. And while making the sauce from scratch will always produce a superior product, I like to do things the hard way, specifically with the veggies. Alternatively, you could have easily just minced them in the food processor first, or you could even rough chop them, saute them, and hit it with a stick blender at the end. Both ways will produce a product that tastes the exact same and will cut down on a ton of the prep. I think using a food processor will give you the closest results, but it's still a process. Pulling the equipment, prepping the veggies, processing them, cleaning the equipment, and then letting it dry before putting it away. I actually used to make this regularly with a slap chop. The stick blender will be the easiest if your knife skills aren't quite there, which is totally fine, but keep in mind the sauce just won't be as chunky or rustic. You can leave the veggies out altogether, and wine too, I guess. In fact, that's how my mom used to make it, and it was still legendary, trust me. But honestly, mirepoix is dirt cheap, and it can really bulk up the sauce and make it really hearty. I've been cooking on a budget for a while, and this is one of my favorite and cheapest dishes to cook. So I just want to thank everybody again for watching the video. While I love cooking and sharing my passion with as many people as possible, everything else happening behind the camera is miles out of my comfort zone, so forgive me if it's a little rough. I hope there will be many more to follow in the series. The concept really came from the one question every professional cook has been asked at one point in their career when they tell people what they do for a living. It's a strange question. I've been cooking for so long that it can actually be difficult to answer. I used to tell people my favorite thing to cook was granola. It wasn't entirely a lie. At the time, I loved making our granola. It was delicious and fun, and one of the first times I had free reign in our kitchen. Then when I realized that was disappointing to hear, I started trolling people with my granola response because I thought it was a dumb question to ask and usually prevented any further dumb ones from being asked. I felt that only people that truly cared about good food would see any legitimacy in that kind of response. But anyway, through the years, there have been many of my favorite dishes, not just one. I don't really even have a favorite cuisine to cook. I love cooking Mexican just as much as I do French or Asian. So, in short, I don't have just one favorite thing to cook. It would make for a pretty terrible channel. I love experimenting with food and trying things I've never done before, but I still obviously love cooking the classics. So, once again, thank you for partaking in this journey where I can share with you my favorite thing to cook. Cue Jurassic Park music and cut. That's a wrap.